Hello, you are listening to Standing in the Fire, where Kris, John, and again, hopefully sometime,
Sometimes.
we'll figure it out, Garrett, the owners of Fireside.fm, talk about what it's like to be in the heat of SaaS growth. It has been far too many days since our last confession. I'm trying to remember when the last one was. We were working out some general process and system things for this.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've got them worked out now. So.
Yeah. We've got a 2-camera angled crew too that we're trying to test out. All the things that podcasters deal with.
Yeah. It's fun to see, like, I actually, for the first time, watched the video version of My First Million, and to see like how they do it with like 3 people up and then occasionally into 1 person and then back to 3. And, you know, it's a little more editing and stuff like that, but it was interesting to watch it. The thing that I picked up the most, and that I'm kind of curious about, unrelated to what we're going to talk about today, is just like, it's really weird to watch someone that you've only listened to. Like, because I have listened so much that like I recognize the voice, but then to see their lips move in the way that they move them to say the words was like, it was almost disturbing to me. Like, I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I like this or not. Like, everyone, I think if you're just listening, people sound smarter and like, I don't know.
Interesting.
And then if you watch them, you're like, oh no, they're just like me. They're like rumbling, whatever. Like, video shows more of like the faults and stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go into the fire. So what has been messy, hard, or stretching lately in business, creativity, or life? So this is, you know, the opposite of highlight reels, which you've been pumping some reels out. So.
I thought we were starting the highs, but yeah, starting the lows. Man, it has been. I feel like making a lot of progress, but also just feeling exhausted all the time. I think that's kind of how I've been going the last couple of weeks, and trying to figure out how to get a little bit more of that. I would say balance, but it's getting more people in to help do different things so that I can focus on the things that I need to focus on. I feel like we've had this conversation before
every week.
But yeah, I think there's actually been more positive stuff than negative stuff in the last couple of weeks.
That's good.
Just from like making progress, having ideas on prioritization. Yeah, I said some of the lows were just like some more personal stuff where I thought I was going to do these different things with housing and all these and stuff, and just like capacity to do it right now, it's just not there. Yeah. And so I've let it go and kind of moved on from it, but that was also stressing out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about, I feel like you have a lot of house lows lately, but I don't know if those were the things you're thinking about.
No, I mean, I've definitely had a lot of those recently. I mean, we had ice dams, which caused a lot of leaks and things like that. And we had other stuff, but I feel like most of the, like, what's been hard and messy lately is actually all the opposite of the stuff that we have been talking about, which, you know, the last several times, you know, if you've listened to those episodes, you would be like, oh, John's all in on AI. He loves it so much. He's not burning out at all. He's going to town. And I just feel like a week ago, I just like hit a wall, like a brick wall. And I was just like, why is my chest tight? Like all the time. It was just tight. And yeah, so that was, I think, the last week I've basically been backing off, trying to like literally like touch grass, do things that are not related to, like, you know, I got a lot done. I definitely worked more than I was working, but I got way more done than the amount of increase in work, you know? So I was like, oh, this is great. This is sustainable. But there's just, if you don't give your brain space, you know, to like process things, it's like I get in the car, I turn on a podcast. And it's not a like happy
comedy.
It's not a comedy. It's not a relaxed podcast. It's a business one that gets my brain going. And then I come in and I talk to people like on the way in, all this kind of cool stuff. And I tell them I'm kind of the AI filter for like a lot of people. So I tell them the new things, and then I start working, and I work on this project. And the second I prompt it, I go to the next one. Then I prompt the next one. Then I prompt the next one. Then I go back to the first one. And so it's this constant, there's no space.
Yeah.
And I go to lunch, and maybe that's the most relaxation all day, and then back into it, and then pick up the kids and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just, there was just no space. And even when I went down to like watch TV at the end of the day, I would just have my laptop there,
Yep.
or I'm on X and I'm just reading like what is the thing tomorrow that I'm going to have to learn to
Yeah.
start implementing.
The thing that annoys me is my algorithm there is always like breaking and like the new like AI thing. I'm like, these fools need to stop
Yeah.
saying that there's always like breaking news about it. That's
It's
not
nonstop.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
Yeah, they're like, this will totally change your life.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
there's like 5 hooks that like the thread boys just keep throwing
Yep.
out there. And sometimes they're actually good, but for the most part they're not.
Yeah.
It's just kind of trash. So that's been the thing that's been hard, is actually like, it hasn't been, I would say it's only been hard because I'm like, why am I stressed? And so
Yeah.
then you have to like do the reflection and figure out like, is it because I'm just not giving my brain any time to process things that are happening? Am I getting less sleep, because of other random unrelated things? Like, yes, it's all of those things. And so then just trying to kind of be like, okay, well, I know what it takes to, live a normal, healthy life. So let's focus on some of those. So I played basketball twice last week. I did some of that kind of stuff and I've been working on shelves in the pantry. So those kinds of things take your brain off of it. They're more like present mindfulness, stuff like that. So I would say that's been the hardest thing, is like, I wanted to just keep pushing forward and keep doing all these things and keep learning. It's really fun, but you really can hit a point where your brain needs space. So like this morning, even I'm going through this like workbook, literally, and it's like, it asks you questions, and like the goal is to like, basically write for like 30 minutes in the morning every day. And I'm like, that's hard to like come in ready to go and then they sit there and write, here's how I feel about this. And like, but I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
clear.
I've thought about, I actually think I got a book, like it's not a journal, but it's a like accomplishment, like daily accomplishment journal sort of thing for Christmas that I wanted, and I have not used it once, but it's just so that like to kind of understand like the progress that you're making over the weeks or months, because it's hard to feel like you're making any. It just made me think if I should start doing that.
Yeah.
I should find.
It's a great idea. I mean, I feel like if nothing else, like that's what I miss from time tracking, like, because I haven't done it the last 2 or 3 months, because how do you divvy up an hour when you worked on 4 different things? It's really hard. And I don't want to work on just one project. Like I could just only work on Fireside or only work on Box Out or something, but then it's easier almost to work on multiple projects than one, or then multiple things in one or something. But yeah, for me, I just slowed down. I was like, I'm just going to do one thing at a time again, maybe a second thing. And I'm going to, actually go through and try to get, I didn't go to bed on time last night, but try to go to bed on time, get up at the same time, like just get thoughts out of my head. Even if I just erase them or throw the paper away, I don't care. And I don't remember what it's called. I think it's maybe a Supernote or something. It's an e-ink thing. So you can literally just like write and write. It feels like just like a pen writing, but then it's digital if you want it. And if not, like you can literally just hit erase at the end. Like if you don't want the history, but the act of like writing it out. And I saw recently, this is a random pro tip time. There's like a link between writing, like actually physically writing with your hand, and reduced like Alzheimer and dementia risk.
Interesting.
Which I'm like, I have no idea what's related, but for some reason, there's like a link in that. I don't remember what the paper said, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, that's my Into the Fire.
Nice.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, yeah. What's the next?
Hey, fan the flames. This is where it starts to get a little interesting. A recommendation. It's not just us like, woe is me, what's happening. So it's like a recommendation of book, tool, video, idea, something that's been inspiring us lately.
Do you have one? I'm trying to think of, do you have one to start out?
There's a bunch of random ones. I think one thing that's been inspiring me lately is this idea where you can go back and forth. I don't want to say Claude is inspiring me, because I never shut up about Claude, but I really like this idea of going back and forth with Claude on like a business idea, because it's almost like you can just kind of throw an idea out. Like I can say, oh, well, what's something farming that I could do with my dad? Like that software, that's my thing, but like that would be helpful on that side of things as well. I can do that and I can kind of like go down the path and then, I can talk to him and he can be like, oh yeah, this one, but not that
Mhm,
one. And like,
mhm.
I think that's actually been kind of fun to like just think through ideas. I don't have to actually build them or anything like that, but at least kind of go back and forth and brainstorm. And I've definitely been inspired by that. There's a lot of really cool things coming out, but honestly, I feel like the thing that's been inspiring the most is two things. So one, going back to like the 1800s and like reading that stuff. So
Mhm.
I've been reading Cornelius Vanderbilt for like a long time. It's like this 3-inch thick book on Kindle. I started it like 3 years ago. It's like I read a couple chapters and then I go to a different book and then come
Yeah,
back to it.
yeah.
But seeing like how things were back in the day and like, oh, like he and his son didn't get along in this way, but then he got along really good with his grandson and like all this kind of stuff. That's kind of interesting. And like how they got mail across, from East Coast to West Coast and that they couldn't just go through the country. They had to go
Mhm,
all the way, south and up around. So I thought that's been kind of inspiring to see like how did like the old days people, do it and stuff like
mhm.
that. And also like, it could be that it's just you're hearing it and it's not necessarily true. It's secondhand, but like some of these people were just like relentless. And it's
Mm.
really interesting to see like they were relentless. And so then I'm like, well, what was their system that made it so that they could be relentless like that? Was it just that like phones and computers and all these things didn't exist? And so even if they had a relentless work day at the end, they'd always have like a half an hour by
Mhm,
the fire or
mhm.
something because there's nothing else to do. And that was enough, like my dad takes baths, like he just takes these really long hot baths. And I think that's actually like a really good relaxing thing. Read a Western and,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's been going back to the old has been kind of
Yep.
inspiring. And then seeing the things that people on the teams are making on the teams that I'm involved in, that's been really inspiring too. Just like
Nice.
crazy new things that like you didn't think were possible before. One small example, Tony at Box Out made it so you can just take a picture of like a roster, drop it in as an upload, and we're like, boom, here's all the players, here's their heights, like anything that was on the photo
Mhm.
just comes in. It can be a PDF, it can be a screenshot, it can be anything, Word doc. It doesn't matter what the file type
Yeah.
is. You just drop it in and then it gets extracted out and
That
bam.
it makes me think Philip and I have been trying to not actively problem solve this, but I know this is going to be a very tangent, but it has to do with that same tech. Is we have probably 50 to 150 old magazines that are scanned in. Some are JPEGs, some are
Mm,
PDFs.
yeah.
We need to extract the text and make it searchable.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to do this like 2 years ago, and I couldn't really find a good existing tool to,
Tough.
to throw it in, and just like a magazine. It's almost they're like their magazines, like a magazine viewer. And like a couple of months ago, I was like, oh, like I think we should be able to do it with AI somehow, even if they're JPEGs.
Yeah.
So, and I think we could actually create a small app that we could sell even
Mhm.
because we needed it for a specific like client and customer where they're doing archival of a lot of old stuff, but also the magazine keeps going. But I bet there is more than just this one customer who could use
Mhm.
something that is poor. I mean, they're high quality scans, but sometimes they didn't know, so they were saving them as JPEGs,
Yeah.
or they were taking photos of them instead of
Oh yeah.
actually scanning them. Either way, like it was. So we don't have PDFs,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm curious of how if we took one and threw it in what you guys are using.
Yeah. It would have no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would totally work. It's
Ah.
like, it's crazy good. Like there was one that he took a picture of and it was like literally a spiral notebook was over the person's name and it was covering like every other letter
Yeah.
and it still extracted the name and it was like one letter off, like
Yeah.
and the biggest, of the letters that it could see. Like if it could see just enough to tell it was a G, it might struggle between G and C or
Yep.
something like that depending on where it's covered up. But like yeah, it's impressive. And that's using like the cheap models to
Yeah.
do it.
I'll definitely send you an example because that'd be really cool. Because I think, yeah, that should be another application of a tool that, yeah, I wonder if it could just be used as is.
Yeah, and then you can do full text search or you can
Yeah.
do whatever kind of search on top of that so that people can find the
Yep.
stuff they're looking
Yep.
for.
It'd
Um,
be interesting that the thing that we were thinking about as like a version as well as could you search context of the article so that if you're looking for, so there's a years, these are for cars. And
yeah,
so if it was like a year and a model, we wouldn't want to search so that it was always just like those two things together. But like if the article was talking about it, could it also surface to the top, even if it wasn't 1984 Ford,
Yeah.
Cadillac,
Semantic.
yeah.
Yep.
Or if it was 1984 Cadillac, could it do it? I don't know. I know there's probably a simple search, but I'm just thinking uh, to be more than just keywords.
Yeah, and you can definitely do that. Like semantic search, again, it's basically it all goes back to AI. So you vectorize like all that text,
Yep.
store it, and then you just have to vectorize the query that you type. And so
Nice.
that's the only downside. You have to hit a local model or OpenAI or something to get that, to turn that search
Right.
phrase, whatever it is. But you can store those, you can cache them, like, because once it's generated, it's the same for all eternity. So you don't have to keep recreating them. So there's ways like that that you can kind of like optimize. But then, yeah, they could be like, show me all the muscle cars.
Yep.
And
right. Yes.
And it would, it would be
cool.
like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
this Mustang and this whatever
Yep.
are muscle cars. So that means,
Okay.
Well, show the CUDA,
We'll have to try that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. That's awesome. Okay.
Hold on. I didn't give it.
You didn't go?
I didn't.
Oh man. I like, yeah,
it's okay.
Let's roll.
No, because it made me think. It's actually the things that are maybe more inspired me. So I went to Austin about a week and a half ago for South by Southwest, and it was actually like a pre South by Southwest. I was only there maybe a day when it was actually going on, but the events we were doing were before it started. And so we hosted a couple panels and a cocktail hour, and the panels were of women founders of varying like degrees of both investment. So some were bootstrapped, some were PE invested, some were VC invested.
Yeah.
And then some of them were still working on it, maybe exited multiple times. And then also even in there, it was exited, may have bought back either their IP or company. And it was just like super interesting. Like just the caliber of, they felt like a friend, but also they've done these like amazing things. It was an interesting, I don't even know how to explain it, experience, but also just invigorating to say like, oh, like we should be doing some of that, more of those things here with those panel discussions or workshops, or bringing people in that have like really good stories they can share. Because you do walk away thinking, what we could do that, or both from the software standpoint or from a momentum standpoint. And just like it's not even different caliber of people. It's just different experience. They have different experiences. And so it's not being around, the same all the time. And I don't know, came back, and we're even trying to plan an event for a couple of weeks from now with one of my friends that was there. And I was like, oh, like these are the things that I've been wanting to do, but have felt bogged down with some of the day-to-day stuff, versus thinking, oh, we should be planning a very cool event like that. Like, why not? We won't have the same number of people attend, but we don't need to.
No.
So that's been, now I've been like hustling to try to get some of those things planned and going, because I think that's how we kind of go to the next level of what we're doing here.
It's like South Bend Midwest.
So that was South by Southwest.
I had to wait so long to say that
joke. Oh, I really like that.
Yeah, it's that'd be SB MW.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Midwest talk the last little while because the weather has been so insane, and only in the Midwest do you get this. So yeah, nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime you go around other people, like that's what's great about diversity and variety is like, what do they say? Like do the same thing. Doing the same thing and expecting different results is like the definition of insanity or whatever.
Right.
Like, if you just hang out with the same people and expect different results, it's the same thing.
It is the, I don't know if it's the average of the people you hang out with the most, but that whole thing of wanting to hang around with people that are also working on cool projects or working on problems. And I think that was just another experience of that. And I was like, oh, and a lot of them actually want to support what we're doing here. And I'm hoping over the next 6 to 8 months, we can get a number of them to come to South Bend to either do a panel or do a keynote or help support the ecosystem here.
I feel like I use podcasts as my way of kind of like getting that variety.
Yeah.
It's like you listen to particular ones because you're like, well, I want to get to know that person
Mhm.
better and how they did what they did because I appreciate the end result that they're at or
Mhm.
whatever. The downside is what's great about in person is you can actually talk to them and you can
Yep.
inquire and ask
Yep.
more questions. Whereas, podcasts, you're limited to what you listen
Right.
to. So,
Right.
but nice. That's cool. Awesome. Those are inspiring. Ember, small updates. What are little wins, ideas, simmering, or experiments that we haven't shared?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I feel like I've talked about it, so maybe I already did, but I know I did something with it in the last like 2 weeks since some of it's new. I was forcing myself to get into user list to do some
Oh yeah.
workflows and automations, and I set up two of them, two automations, because I want to get more onboarding tutorial emails going for Speaker Deck.
Nice.
And we finally had enough of the different segmented data so I could not have everybody getting the same messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And so I set two of those up. They're both running. We'll see if it increases conversions, but I've been wanting to do that forever. And it was more daunting of like, I didn't know if I had enough data to segment out. And then I was like, well, what am I going to messaging am I going to put in there?
Yeah.
So I think I only have like maybe 3 emails so far for each segment. But I'm like, let me just make it go live. I can keep adding to it versus keep waiting until I have like a 5 or 7 segment. But now I want to, do more of that for some of the other stuff we're working on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of it for access to do the t-shirt stuff. We need to get some
Sure.
more email marketing for Momentum, for Fireside. Like just that onboarding and that consistent communication is, I know it's important. I would recommend to anyone else it's important, but then sometimes it's hard to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
And now that I did one, I'm like, oh, let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually a really good approach to like you do it on one and then just do it on all of
Yeah.
them because it's in your head.
Yep.
You're like in that state of mind to do it. So when you said it's hard to get going. So specifically, I would say it's hard because you're doing two different things. One is figuring out how to segment and two is figuring out what you want to say. So what was your
Absolutely.
approach?
I started with, so once I actually did the segmenting first because I knew there were a couple different audiences and I wanted to see if I could get the logic working correctly. So that, because at first I was actually, maybe I'm not even saying it correctly. I knew that I wanted to email storyboard artists.
Yep.
So I actually started there and I built a whole workflow. And then I decided I actually want a similar thing for everybody else, but I didn't want anyone to get duplicate,
Yep.
emails. And so I actually had to scrap it and go back and start over because I want that segment to actually be also from, so you have storyboard artists on one side, you have other folks on the other side. I don't want there to be two separate workflows. I want that to be a decision at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that way there's no way people are getting, getting duplicate things. So actually it started with, I want to email storyboard artists. Then I was like, well, I should actually do this for everybody. So let me figure out the logic to kind of break it down. And even with, I was thinking here at Momentum, like we should be following up with different people that have signed up, but maybe not converted to memberships. And what should that look like? And then with Access, I was like, well, we know some people only buy once or twice a year. So maybe they're on a very different cadence versus folks who like kind of come in every other month. And so if we could keep top of mind, maybe it's a sale or maybe it's just letting them see some of the new stuff we did for an inspiration. But it's just like, once you set those up, then I know you have to keep tweaking them and I've changed messaging, do things. But I don't know, I was talking with my partners at Access this weekend. I'm like, we're not doing enough marketing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of silly how much we're just waiting for people for the inbound.
Yep.
And then I was trying to do some SEO analysis on our website. We built it 2 years ago and haven't really changed it. And I was thinking we need some email marketing and we need our person to call like 10 people a week to see if they need something. And I think all those things could help move the needle if we started doing more aggressively, because now we're kind of rambling on, but like our TikTok and Instagram for Momentum have been doing really well because we hired a social media person.
She's doing great. Honestly, I really like.
She's doing great.
Yeah.
And her videos are doing very well. I would say very well comparatively to what ours were before. Our followers are growing. And when we ask people how they found out about us when they come in, we've started to hear people say, in like social media. And so even if we just get a couple people from social media, like that is definitely a good use of our funds and our time. And I think that also got me excited to do that for other things. Like we just need to get more clips and videos going out because I see it working on momentum.
Nice. That's cool. There was what was Geo SEO. So it's a Claude plugin for
Okay.
doing like a AI analysis on your site. Not an analysis of like, how are you doing or whatever, but it's specifically for like how do you show up in like when people type in LLMs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I actually last week did a couple of like, because there's people in Momentum that they haven't installed that, and so like the idea of they're capable to update their website and do those kinds of things, but to actually like install the plugin, run the plugin, like figure out how, maybe they've never even installed a plugin ever,
Yeah.
and so they don't know like where to start with this kind of stuff. And so I was like, I'll just run it on your site real quick and then I'll email it to you. And so I didn't even think about access. I ran it. I thought about Momentum, but I don't think I actually ran it. But I had told Philip about it, so I figured, he could do it if he wanted to.
Yeah, we should just try it on Access because I'm curious. Again, like I made that site a couple of years ago, and I wanted better local SEO on some of the things because, as an example, our embroidery machine should be running every day, 6 hours a day. Like, like that's what we want to get to. But people have to be able to find us.
Yeah. So like the really fascinating thing that it pushes is like, and there's a robots.txt for SEO, and so you can do an llms.txt for AI. So all of our, like Fireside has one, all of our, I've done it for all the businesses that I'm involved in.
Yeah.
And what you get is like, it's literally just like this overview, like you're just giving AI, like, here's what this is in like just plain text, no HTML, super fast to pull through, and a single file that it knows to always check first, So that's kind of like the benefit of it. And it can be dynamic, like ours, like for Box Out and for Fireside and for Flipper, they're all dynamic. They pull, pricing from the database. So if the database changes, it changes and all that kind of stuff. And then, so that's like an easy thing you can do. And then there's like a lot of little things with like a schema and things like that and structure that you would typically do for like SEO and stuff. But it's really a big deal with AI as well, because they can pull that one script tag out and just kind of discard all the rest. And it says, this is the company, here's the founder, here's the year that it started, here's what we do, like all that kind of stuff. And Claude can just like do all that for you. So what's cool is you run this audit, you get like a score from 0 to 100 in like 5-6 different categories. And then you get like this whole list of like things to do, and you can literally just copy and paste them into Claude and it will help you, especially if you're using WordPress or things like that.
Yeah.
So I was helping Yoder with it, who helps us here in the podcast studio. I gave him like a thing, and then I was like, if he wanted to grow like locally, because a lot of his stuff is national, but he kind of likes the idea of growing locally.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note to send you.
Yeah, just email him or whatever, and I'll or I'll try and remember to do them. And so the end result is like a markdown file that I just emailed and stuff like that. But again, a lot of that it makes it so that it's like all this obvious low hanging fruit that like as soon as you think about it, you're like, duh, like yes, I should have done this. Or maybe you just don't know about it, but you're like, this is easy. This is like 5 minutes of work.
Yeah. I think I was trying to quickly last night look at Access's website, and I jumped in an SEO thing. I can't remember the ones I used to use for reporting, and some of the stuff it was saying we didn't have on there. I was like, we probably did it quickly.
Yeah,
I didn't think to put some of the data points in that we were supposed to put in.
Yeah, so I did a couple of those, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I did one for Leadership Tap because
nice.
Matt was kind of like running back and forth.
That'd be super interesting
for everyone.
Yeah, like to do that.
Just a service.
And then be a service of like, hey, because most of the people here have a really small team, so they're not experts in everything. And if people could, that's really cool. I like that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I that was my thought. It was like, there was a side of me that was like, well, you could literally make a business that's like $100 or $50. Who cares? Because like it costs the robots like $2 to do this or less, And so if it's that cheap, it's like just something that people can plug their URL in. They get a nice little thing. Maybe they can have a couple chats with it afterwards of like, oh, specifically, asking about this. Could you give me more details on that? And so I did that. And then the other thing, that I would do as well is like throw in like based on now everything that you know about this business, like give me all the opportunities, the wish list, like all the ways to attack, the customer base that they serve, and and do stuff. And then I've been throwing that into Obsidian. It's just like a markdown vault, it's like Node app, but
Mhm.
for markdown. And so then I have all these like, Fireside, whatever, all these different ones. And it's like, here's the wish list of all these people. Here's the top
Yeah.
5 pain points, And again, it's just once it knows so much about your business, that's the best time to be like, okay, now go research
Right.
the market
Yep.
and tell me what I could do that I'm
Yep.
not doing. And it was really interesting to read those for those businesses as well. Like, for example, Leadership Tap, it was like, look, there is nothing easy that you're going to do. Like, your business is the hardest business to be in because it involves locale
Mhm.
rather than being remote. It
Yep.
involves, literal like networking, trust, like all the things they're already doing. They're
Yep.
doing the hard work. A few things on their website are probably not going to make a difference for them compared to the stuff they're already doing.
Yeah, is their business similar to, like, in the consulting business I was doing for a long time, where people go to the website just to see like legitimacy. They're not necessarily like finding you.
Yeah.
Like, it's typically a referral.
Yep.
Or from your past work, people find you and they just want to see if you're legit.
Yeah.
Versus it being the primary initial place people are finding you.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, I thought that was a neat little win. It was just like this GeoSEO tool. You install it,
Mhm.
you run it. It takes 5 to 7 minutes. Honestly, it's super fast. It barely uses any tokens. Not that a lion would concern himself with tokens,
Yeah.
but as they say, and then you get this really neat report, and you can feed that if you have something that, your local app, you can feed it right back into there, and Club will just fix it right there. So I have 3 PRs open.
That's awesome.
Box out. I should do one for Speaker Deck too.
Yeah, I mean,
about
here's
that.
on Speaker Deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Just remind me after. I'll run all of them. It's pretty easy. So yeah, that was a cool thing. So for me, little wins, ideas simmering. Oh boy, I feel like honestly, just helping other people was really cool. One small little win. We've been working on trying to make it like less human involvement to create a template at Box Out. So like not the design. Like we want the design to be like a good designer.
Yeah.
And like somebody who understands sports and what we're trying to
someone who
accomplish.
has 3 monitors at all times.
Yeah. Yep. Somebody who has 3 monitors.
John's designer, one of their like contract designers were in town, and they came to Momentum and literally brought in 3 monitors for the day.
Yeah. He had everything up. It was cool to see.
It was cool.
Yeah. I was like, that was a lot of monitors. I was like, maybe I don't have enough. Maybe I need more monitors too. So yeah, I might have went down a couple of real rabbit holes for like curved big screens and stuff this weekend. But like the one thing I've really noticed with LLMs, and this has just been simmering for a while, is just like AI is really good if you give it a way to verify itself. And if you don't give it away, then it is basically junk. Like it's a smarter Google, but like if you're trying to do something that's technical and it can't verify if it did the technical thing correctly, it just spits out garbage once and it's done. And if you, however, say, okay, well, here's an API you can talk to. So like when you make this template and you think you're done with it, send that over here via an API call. And here's the exact rendering of what you just did. So with you want a way to verify. So you want to say, I rendered, I created the code to make this image, and here's the reference image. And here is when I actually render it, what it looks like. And LLM can look at those two and say, oh, I see the difference. This text is here, this text is here. And then it will make changes, do it again. And it will do that virtuous loop on its own. And you're not involved. And it's like, oh, I see that I made the text too high. I'll make the text lower.
Yeah, that's
awesome. And it will do that stuff. And so like that hit me this week because we had this like box out template.
Yeah.
Where that's why,
Kris was in town.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that I think has been simmering for a while is like back in the day when I would use AI, there was no verification and it was bad. Well, then at some point they kind of trained the AI to like self-verify whenever it can. It's like run the tests and create new tests and like that kind of stuff. So now Claude Code will do that for you. And so then when you're trying to use it for these other tasks, I think that's a thing that like has been in my head for a while is like, how can you define success for Claude? And it's the same thing you would do again for like an employee or anyone else. You say, look, the end result is this is success, however many iterations in between here and here, I don't really care. And I just want to get to here in the end. And I don't care if it looks like cards taped together, as long as you get to that in the end. And so I've been finding that idea really interesting and fascinating. And so I'm curious to see this week if that I made an API for Box Out, internal
Nice.
one,
Yeah.
just for us to say, given this template and this input data, render it and show it. And that'll help us with like variations. So if you have longer text, shorter
Mm-hmm.
text, rectangle logos, square logos, vertical
Mm-hmm.
logos, like we can have all of those as inputs, run the template through the ringer and make sure that like it looks nice.
Yeah. Nice.
So I think that'll be really cool. And that was kind of a fun one. So
Is there anything you're excited about for the week?
yes, but I can't remember. I feel like I was excited.
Yeah. We're trying to plan this. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be in the past. But a dinner with some folks coming in town to try to help with some sponsorships and some
Nice.
I would say sponsorships and donors that we'll have here at Momentum. And so it's coming together super quickly, but I think if we can get one of the guests locked in, we have a chef coming in. We're going to partner with the kitchen here. It's going to be a really cool event, but it's also in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's pressure time, but it's those are the things that I'm like, this is how going to help us move the needle a bit. And then I want to talk with, I was talking with my partners about the access over the weekend, and I put some, thoughts out to the team to get back to me on, hey, here's the things we're trying to do to become more efficient. Give me some, I already kind of have ideas, but I want them to come up with some of them because I feel like I've been the bottleneck too much for that as well.
Yeah.
And I want them to do that.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think for me, it's a lot of the same thing. Like I have a tendency to just, especially with LLMs, I was like, oh, I'll just throw it in AI because I see this error, I'll throw it in. But now what I've been trying to force myself to do is no, assign it to somebody else. Because even if that takes me 5 minutes to fix with Claude, then it takes me another 10 minutes to run CI. It takes me another 10 minutes after that to actually deploy and do all my stuff. And so I'm like, now I've spent a half an hour on this, even if I'm doing 4 other ones at the same time. And I'm like, other people can do that stuff. I don't have to always be the one that's doing these little things, So yeah, I mean that we had an interesting thing with Fireside yesterday and like metrics and that kind of stuff getting backed up. So it was like an hour and a half debugging and figuring out why and then fixing it and stuff like that. So that was kind of an interesting one. I feel like Box Out is really close to getting like some really huge unlocks on the template side of things. Because we can do a lot of things that other people can't do, but there's some stuff that other people do that we've chosen not to. And now we're like, you know what? We're going to do it. Let's just do it. And I think that's going to come out probably in the next couple of weeks. And that should be really cool too. So yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Great. Well, if you're watching, we apologize if you lost video.
And now you're just listening.
And now you're just listening to whatever graphic we threw up there on the screen.
Yeah.
But if you haven't done so, you better comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram or YouTube or Spotify. And we'll hopefully see. You may not notice, but we did take a break. We're going to come back. We're coming back strong.
Hard.
And we'll have some more awesome stories for you next time.